It's all about breaking a move. And you know, weddings, just such happy moments. You should dance. I love weddings. When I go to weddings and there's just a lot of dancing, it's a feel-good celebration of union, love, and all of that. Well, time for other discussion this morning. We're all about conversations today. But a beautiful day for all that work in radio. It's World Radio Day. And more so, keeping with the theme, it's celebrating women in radio. And I have three amazing women with me now on set. We're celebrating them this morning. We have Tina Koroso, who's a presenter at Radio Maisha, which is part of the Standard Group. Zuleka Otieno next to me right here, comedian. And of course, Dorcas Mutai, who is a radio copywriter. You know, TV, there are different names. I'm trying to keep with the names that are. But congratulations, all. World Radio Day. Good for you. What does that mean to you? Celebration today.
Godogo kusongo mapata memo kusongo mgote. Lakini gawaida nilikuwa na maambua leo ni sugu ya kusherehekea wanawake duniani sofe. Wanawake sisi na biti afetu mengi. Tusongea gasi ya jumbani, tusongea watoto kusumbua, tusongea wale mkuletea sisi magesi watoto walifunje watoto walibigana. Na sasa saa hii radio bia si rahisi. Mimi gasi yangu ni kujikesha watu na kukula kichwa ya hii mwanamke anaitwa Tina Koroso.
Kukula kichwa yake. So that is your comedian voice. That is not hiyo sio sauti yako kawaida.
Habana hii sauti yangu waja naongea sasa. I'm sorry. Naongea msore?
No, ongea hivyo. Dorcas, you've been in radio for, is it 4 years? 4 years. 4 years. Take us through the journey, how you got into radio.
Well, actually, I got into radio just as, I don't know, I just happened into radio, and I thank God because, you know, everything that happens in my life, I believe it is a God, you know, it is God leading me into my purpose. So I was in advertising for a while, but I needed to change. I just felt I needed to shift my career without changing what I love doing, which is writing. And I got an opening in Standard Group, and here I am. So we got into Radio Maisha. We are actually the ones that started up Radio Maisha.
Yeah.
I was in the first team that began Radio Maisha. Actually sat down, drafted the strategy. It's been amazing.
And that is a tough job to do, to you know, conceptualize, to propose, come up with those proposals, the structure. How was that process like? How many people were involved? What were those things? Because radio, I mean, I've not been on radio, but I know and can imagine some of the dynamics working on TV that could be there.
Yes. Radio is quite different from TV, but it was challenging and exciting at the same time because you're given an opportunity to create that thing that you need to work with. So you make it suit you, and it's been challenging. Yeah, we've had our hurdles, but so far, so good.
So far, so good. And Tina, 8 years.
Yes,
I was confusing the two. 8 years you have been on radio and have traveled quite a bit. How did you get started?
I think for me, it was actually people saw that talent in me. It was easy for people to talk to me. People complimented on the voice I have, you know, and the ability to just make people laugh and all that. So I think it started from there when one person just said, you know what, I think you have it for radio. Why don't you give it a try? And the first time when I walked in, I was given directions just how to, you know, I work on the machines. And I never looked back ever since. For me, it was that tool, that microphone. The moment it goes up, for me, it's like, wow, how many lives can you change through this one instrument? And every single day you go, you look at it in that way, that it's not about me. It's about that one person who is sitting at home, in their car, office, wherever, and they have whatever challenge. You know, they just need to hear something that can tell them, you know what? It's another day, and I can do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's not all that bad, you know? So I look at it in that way. When I got into radio and I was like, I'm not gonna try anything else. I've done quite a few things, you know, advertising, music, you know, but radio for me, that's it.
Okay. And Dorcas, what is it about Radio Maisha? You're all with Radio Maisha. What separates it? What stands out about it from other, of course, very many radio stations that we have in Kenya?
Radio Maisha is a very, very versatile FM station. And the one thing that stands out for Radio Maisha is the fact that we play contemporary African music. You know, contemporary, we are keeping up with the changing scene in African music, because now if you look at how we are doing things, it's not the same as, you know, 2 years ago. So we are basically changing every day. The kind of talk we have on air is talk that touches people's lives. That's why it's called Radio Maisha, because we are real. We are real to the everyday person. The things that affect you on a daily basis is what we tackle.
You tackle.
Yes.
Yeah, that captures it. Radio Maisha, about life.
Yes.
Zuleka, most radio stations, zikona comedian, you know, everybody wants to have that. Why is it that people want comedians like yourself on radio?
First, I see is wanting to tell you comedians bring a relaxing ambience.
Okay.
Nimesema msure? Tina ndio malemu yangu. Lazima uweke comedian fetu yasigue serious ya saa yote. Tuseme foraga sambo ego agasatenda emafanyika hapa saa jangwani. Watu na Jomega. Habana ongea kuhusu moto saa yote. Hata hiyo moto wewe naweza jongoa hiyo moto. Shotgun we moto unafata mpaka mtu ameiba mafuta ndani ya juma. Amejificha na jumba, wewe naenda kufuata yeye kwa nini?
Right.
Lazima unachekesha watu kidogo, lazima unatoa watu kwa hiyo fetu serious. Kwanza tena goroso hiyo msijana ni serious.
Yeah.
Ukiweka yeye saa yote tu atashinda kusema Zulaka wacha hiyo mjinga yako. Zulaka wacha hiyo mjeso. Lazima tusumbue hiyo na kula.
But also people imagine that it's very easy to be a comedian, that you just come and laugh, but there's research and there's an understanding that is required of what's happening in the country to actually be able to crack relevant jokes that will make people laugh and relate. Yeah?
Mimi naweza mwambia hao gugaa jini kutengeneza gitu ikuje ijegeshe hule na wewe Sofia habana kasi raisi. Ni fila unafundishwa kuandika wanu kutoka ugwe galasi wanu baisa wesi jawai jua kuandika mbaga leo. Lakini ni fila malemu anatega time na wewe. Ifo ndo comedian anaga tusoma gazeti. Vile mimi naelewa hadithi, lazima nibatie wewe side B. Wewe unasoma side A. Si bure Andrew alitaka kukua Audrey. Lazima angeonyesha nyinyi banda ingine ya mtu.
Okay, so you bring out the other story, the backstory that you may not know. So the theme celebrating women in radio, that in itself stands out because the fact that whoever decided that should be the theme this year means there's a significant role being played by women. When you are going through this day and the celebration of women, what are you picking from it as a woman? Is it that there are special, unique challenges to women in radio, or is it that they perform in a really, are there more women in radio? What is it about women in radio?
I think when you look at a woman carries a lot on her shoulder.
Yeah.
And if this woman can still have enough time to spare for radio and empower other people, yes, she does deserve to be given that platform. I mean, this is a mother, this is a wife, this is a sister, this is a daughter, and still she will come to work 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, prepare for that show, and still be able to give out. I mean, delivery between a woman and a man is different. A woman usually doesn't look at herself. A woman looks at everyone else but herself. But a delivery from a man's point of view, it's, okay, this is an issue, let's talk about it, who is affected, who is not. They don't really look at that angle. So I really think women have contributed a lot as far as radio is concerned, and they've really brought, I think it's the heart, it's life. They've brought that into radio, so people actually feel. When we are on air, we get emails, we get messages from people who are totally broken.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you're like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Some of them will call you mama, some of them will call you big sister. They will call you all these names because you represent that when you're on air.
Yeah, and I was reading your profile. One of the things you say, for you, this is a ministry. It's a platform, a pulpit that you have, because you're speaking, you don't know to how many, it's hundreds of thousands of people. But maybe tell us a little bit more about your show, what you do on Radio Maisha. What is it about? What separates it and is different from the other shows on the...
Maisha Jioni, it's a show that is run by two divas.
Yeah.
We call ourselves divas because we feel that diva name is being misused out there. I mean, a diva isn't just a woman who is on high heels, long nails, and painted lips. A diva is a hustler. This is a woman who works hard to make sure that there's food on her table. This is a woman who makes sure that society still has that, principle. I mean, that is what we do. So the things that we discuss on our show are more social issues. These are things that women, encounter, men, children, youth. I mean, we look at our young people nowadays, they don't have respect or regard for the elders. Who is going to talk about them?
Okay.
You know, why not have women who can actually put these things on the table? We have young men nowadays who would fall for older women. What's going on in the society? You know, who is going to talk about them? Why not have women on radio who can actually voice and say, hold on here, there's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, why should an older woman have a relationship with a young man? Or why should it be an older man walk with a child, a girl who is young enough to be a grandkid, you know? So we talk about such issues, you know, just to put that awareness on our listeners that it's not proper. You know, we actually call it ndivyo sivyo. We say ndivyo, but sivyo.
Sivyo,
Yeah.
right. I don't know if we have the pictures we took earlier of you guys in action. My director will let me know, but as we come to you, Dorcas, celebrating women, being a woman in radio for the period of time you've been there, and having been there since inception of this particular station and worked so far, what is it about the woman, again, the question I posed to Tina, and as far as, is it the unique challenges, is it what you bring to the table that's different? Of course, it cannot be the same, but in your perspective, how would you analyze that?
I think we are celebrating women in radio today because some roles as society has put them are supposed to be for men. Radio is a male-dominated field. That's why I think women are being celebrated today, because women are doing a lot more than we thought they could do in radio. And like Tina has said, we bring in this emotive aspect. What I do on a daily is write creative proposals for clients, and you find that when you look at a creative proposal done by a woman, it has a softer angle, it has a softer side, which I think just balances out things. Men are more factual, men are more, here's a problem, let's sort it out. But you know, us, we need to see what caused the problem, you know? How do we like just soften the edges? Yeah, that's why we are celebrating women, because we bring in the balance. Yes.
And Zuleka, being on radio, being the funny person, how is that experience like? Do people always relate, laugh, or are there people who will kind of like, okay, what was that about? What is your experience? What has it been? You've been there, what, for how many months now?
A few months. Right. Okay, actually I've been on radio for 4 months now.
Yeah.
I had no idea I can do anything on radio until when Tom Japani, the head of Radio Maisha, and Diema.
Sounds like a totally different person.
I know.
Called me and asked me if I can do anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's so hard. You can crack a joke. Even Tina looks at me like, did you just say that? Did you just say that? And I listen. I can even call in live and ask, what the hell is wrong with that woman? And Tina will go like, I don't know. I'm also wondering, like you are wondering. Let's play like 1 or 2 songs, and let's get back to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not
What has been the most challenging part for you in particular, having not had a background in radio, you don't study this, but what has been the most challenging part?
Okay, the most challenging part was using the microphones.
Really? Yeah, I know they're huge, and we've seen some of those pictures with you guys.
The first day, Sophie, I shouted so high that even the radio team came. The producer was like, no, you don't shout like that. You don't shout like that. These mics are so sensitive. So I just leaned back and I started talking.
Yeah.
Then the voice faded. And they were like, what are you doing?
So you went from one extreme to the other extreme, and so it has been about trying to find that balance.
Yes, and let me share with you one experience. There's a day that Tina didn't come in.
Oh.
So I had to do the show alone. I was telling people we are going to do traffic, then all of a sudden, sports is playing. I want to put a song, then an advert plays.
Oh my God, that is chaotic. Okay.
So I was wondering, okay, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, it was baptism by fire.
Thank God there are people to help us, but I don't want to repeat that.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Tina, 8 years, that's a long time. And you've not only worked in Kenya, you've been in different countries. Take us through the experience and what you found. And you're not Kenyan, technically. Okay.
Yes.
I like that.
Technically, yes.
Technically.
I always call myself African.
African.
Yeah.
Okay. But working in different countries, the experiences, because being, I guess, on any media, TV, radio, there's a huge part of it that has to go with understanding the people
Yes.
you're communicating with, their culture, their likes, their dislikes, what appeals to them, what does not. So what has that been like, having interacted with quite a number of different cultures?
I think for me, I started radio in Tanzania, but I was brought up in Botswana from childhood, and later on moved to school in South Africa. When I moved to Tanzania, actually, no one embraced me as a Tanzanian because, one, I could not speak the language.
Yeah.
Two, my behavior sort of made them think I'm Kenyan, I'm Ugandan, I'm Nigerian, I'm South African, but not Tanzanian. So that felt strange, I mean, I've always loved being who I am. I'm East African, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
But then when you get back home and people are telling you, you're not, I took it as a challenge. And I used to buy newspapers, Swahili newspapers, every single day, and I would go in front of the mirror and read, laugh at myself when I make mistakes. I chose different friends, people who spoke Swahili throughout, so that I could get my Swahili, in action. So I think for them, it was, okay, we saw this girl, we heard this girl on radio the first time, she couldn't even pronounce the words right, and look at her today, her Swahili is just perfect. So I think for us, or for me, you have to really get down, like I said earlier, it's not about you. So you have to talk to the people, understand their culture, where they're coming from, how they, relate to certain issues for you to be able to deliver. So for me, going through all these places that I've been, all I do is just get what is good, and I carry it with me.
Yeah.
So wherever I go, if I find it can work in this place, I just put it on the table.
Yeah.
So this is like a home away from home.
Yeah, home away from. And I like that you bring even the aspect of, you trained and taught yourself in Swahili, because many people want several things, but putting in the work then becomes, most are lazy. They're not willing to go that extra mile to actually realize you want to be as good as so-and-so. You must realize they just didn't wake up and get there. There was some work to it.
A lot.
As we bring this to a close, Dorcas, your typical day and where you see yourself. It's 4 years, the next 5 years, woman on radio, you bumped into this, got into this, creating the whole process, being now a copywriter in radio. How is a typical day first for you, and where do you see yourself in the next couple of years?
On a normal day, I work from Monday to Friday, and my boss would like me to be in the office by 8.
Yeah.
So I really try to be there at least by 9.
Right.
Tom, please don't be watching this.
Yes.
Yeah. So I get in and basically just look into my mail, because that's where all the work comes in from. Because we work with a sales team, they send in creative briefs, so we have to look through the briefs, consult with my colleagues. There are 4 of us in the creative department. We just began as 2 ladies, but now there's 4 of us, 2 guys and 2 ladies. Yeah, so I'd go through the work that's there, see who's working on what, and then I start doing my research, because creating proposals, everything has been done really. When you think about it, it's all been done, but it's how to add the little twist.
And there's so many radio stations, that's the other thing. Yeah,
Yes,
I like that.
yes.
Everything has been done.
Yeah, it's
all
been done.
there.
It's just how to add that twist. So that is what my day is all about. Just putting that twist in what's been done before. People would say, we want a roadshow, but what's the twist in your roadshow? What am I giving this client that is not just another roadshow? Yeah, so where I see myself in, say, 4 or 5 years, sounds like an interview question, but I actually thought about it.
Well, it is an interview, honey.
I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, my ideal strength is in strategy. And because I love radio, I'd love to strategize for a radio station, maybe Radio Maisha, I'd like to write down a proper strategy for a radio station where we see ourselves, our music, what is the content we want to go out, what kind of advertisers we want on board. So that's where I see myself in 5 years.
And I like also what you said in your profile, something about with what you do, and you talked about finding that difference every other day with your work, is that then when people tell you all the time, think outside the box, for you there's no box.
There's no box. Actually, there's no box. Yes, I don't work in a box. That's why I can come to work in Pink Hills, on a weekday
and my boss should
and jeans on a Monday.
On a Monday.
Yeah.
Zuleika, there are so many comedians now, so comedy in itself has become huge. Comedy on radio is also another big thing. What is the plan for you do you want to stay on, having been around 4 months? Do you want to continue doing radio? And what do you plan to do to get you to stand out? Because in life you always have very many people who can pretty much do the same thing, but it's about that extra that you bring to the table.
Yeah, they can do what I do, maybe even do it way much better. But yes, I want to be on radio. I've never done radio, and the experience is just great.
Yeah.
I want to do radio maybe even 10 years from now. God willing, inshallah. About how I get my content, I want to make it fresh, not doing what everyone is doing. I want to be informed, because the more you're informed, the more you can be creative, and the more your jokes can have life, originality, and you can even patent them.
Yeah.
You can use them day after day after day.
After day.
Yes.
Finally, Tina, what when you're preparing for a show, what informs that? Is it conversations going on? Is it current affairs? Is what people are on about? And also, somebody watching and wants to be a radio presenter, and they're watching you, they're hearing you've been doing this for quite a number of years now. They want to join and start. Also, your words to them, in what they need to do and think about.
First, we start with the preparation.
Yeah.
A lot of what is going on, that is in the papers, the news you guys provide for us every day. I wake up in the morning watching you and seeing, okay, what's going on today. You go online, there's almost everything. Google, a lot of other places you can get news to know what's going on around the world. But every time for me, I have to choose something that relates to that Mwananchi who is listening to Radio Maisha. So it has to come down to that. So whatever it is that I would want to prepare, to discuss on Maisha Jioni, has to come to that level, that nikiweka, if I put something, this person who is at home listening to me can relate to it.
Right.
Yeah. And anyone who would want to do what we do,
yes,
I think first of all it must be a passion. It's I think everything that everyone does is a calling. What you do on TV is a calling. Not everyone can do it. I think also if you really want to do it, you have to work hard.
Right.
And working hard doesn't mean just have the grades, but observe the guys who are already doing it. What are they doing that you can do, and what can you add to it, so that Tina one day will step down from being a presenter and letting the other young guys come in and do their thing.
Yes.
When I'm at home listening, I'll be like, wow, that is good. How come I never thought of that, So whoever is watching right now, that is what you need to do. First, you must have the passion. Second, you must have the drive.
Yeah, and put in the work.
Really, because there is a lot of
There's
work.
a lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, here at Morning Express, the entire team, myself, we celebrate you, Dorcas, Tina, Zuleika, very much so for the work that you're doing with radio. Wish you the very best with whatever it is you want to do. But I just want you each to tell me one name, the person you want to specifically celebrate today, the woman you'd want to celebrate in radio, of course. We'll start with Dorcas. Just one woman. Just shout out to whoever you're celebrating today. Doesn't have to be somebody on Radio Maisha. Just one of those people you probably admire, you think is doing an amazing job as well.
Yeah. I think Karen Mutoko really is a queen of radio. So I celebrate her because she's a person that is not boxed in. Yeah, she speaks her mind. Yeah. So I celebrate her today.
Mutoko.
Yes.
Who do you celebrate, my dear?
For me, it would be Barbara Hassan. She works in one of the radio stations in Tanzania. She's a young woman, very vibrant, has gone through a lot of things, but every day she's managed to be on top of her game, and she still keeps going. Exactly. So for me, that is her.
That is who. And Zuleika, who do you celebrate?
I don't even need to go so far.
Yeah.
Tina Koroso.
Yeah. Oh, that is very nice.
She gives me strength every day. Like there's a day she came in, had these real bad ulcers. She was turning the mics down and crying like a baby, crying. But when she's on air,
you cannot tell.
You wouldn't tell.
And those are the intrigues of, and we celebrate you as well. When you're on radio and TV, you're having a bad day and your own challenges, your viewers really don't need to know about that. And that is real strength. So thank you all for being part of the show. I hope there'll be cake. Can we come for cake? Really?
Yes,
Really?
really.
The boss. There needs to be a cake somewhere. We need to celebrate. But we'll see you later on as we are having the cake. Beautiful, amazing ladies on Radio Maisha every day working there. We have Dorcas Mutai, Zuleka Otieno, and of course Tina Koroso talking to us about their journey, their interest, and what the next few years, the future looks like for them, and of course also touching on who does inspire them and who they're celebrating at a personal level.